Right, you love Derby, Kieran, so they're going to get their own little segment here. Derby are the team that have consistently not had parachute money, yet tried to compete on an even footing with parachute money. And for the first time today, we're going to talk about stadium, which we call it repositioning and leasing. And we've got to talk about Wayne Rooney and 32 Red as well, Kieran. If you can, summarise where Mr. Mel Morris is with Derby. Are they still going towards an iceberg? And how do you see it playing out? Because the team doesn't look that competitive this season.
Well, first of all, and if there's any lawyers listening, Mel Morris has not broken any rules. So let's get that let's get across. Um, Derby have consistently spent money on wages. If you take a look at the last three seasons, in 2016, for every £100 through the door, they spent 157. The following year, 137. Last year, 161. So they are living beyond their means in terms of what you call standard business. That's before you put petrol in the mower to cut the grass. That's before you put your floodlights on. That's before you pay for the hotels of the squad when they go on away matches. Before any of that, they're already losing money, and they're losing a lot of money. So what Derby have done, they have sold some players in the past. If you think about the likes of Will Hughes and so on, that those players have generated Tom Ince. Those players have generated some fairly decent profits in 2017. They didn't do so well in 2018 in that regards, and they've probably not done so well in 2019.
Well, all their best players were loanees last year, Kieran. So how could they sell them?
Well, exactly. So therefore, if they can't sell the players to make up this shortfall, they've got to go and sell something else. And they're looking around and saying, "Well, what can we sell? Oh, we're in Pride Park. Let's go and sell. Let's go and sell Pride Park to somebody." And they go, "Well, who would want to buy a football stadium for a club that is losing on a regular business basis? It's losing around about £900,000 a week. So there's not a big pool of people." And they're looking around the boardroom, and then they all go, "Mel, you're rich. Why don't you go and buy it yourself?" So Mel Morris says, "Yeah, okay, that's what I'm going to do." And
Mel
so
Morris, who already owns the stadium, yes? Or rather, owns the
Mel
club that plays in the stadium, yes?
That's right. So Mel Morris owns Derby County Football Club. He also owns the company called Sevco 5112, which owns Derby County Football Club. It also owns Derby County Academy Limited. It owns Derby County Commercial Limited. There's lots of little companies that are being created. And then a couple of months ago, he set up another company called Gelor five something something. Trying to follow this, it's a bit like doing a Rubik's cube. It's a real challenge, but it's good fun. Until 2016, the EFL financial fair play rules specifically said if you sell a fixed asset, i.e., a long-term asset such as a football stadium, if you sell it, that's fine. That from a cash point of view, you're perfectly legal. Nothing wrong with that from a legality point of view. When it comes to FFP, the profit on that sale, we're going to ignore. And the reason why they said this was if you go to the UEFA FFP rules, which, hey, funnily enough, I've read, it says we don't want these profits to be included because it doesn't create a sustainable club. It's short-termism, and we want clubs to exist in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years' time. And that was all fine. And then in 2016, nobody knows why this is. My understanding, and I'm not. I've been known to be occasionally critical of Sean Harvey. In 2016, the rules were changed, and all of a sudden, that particular rule was removed from the statute. So nobody really noticed it at the time, apart from dullards such as me who go through small print and say, well, we now can sell the stadium to ourselves. I've spoken to one or two people in the industry, I've spoken to one or two journalists, and the consensus of opinion was that it was just a mistake. They didn't mean to do it. It was cock up rather than conspiracy. So there was nothing Machiavellian behind this decision. But what it did allow was Derby County to sell Pride Park to another company set up by Mel Morris and take that profit and knock it off against your FFP losses. Um, and that's fine if it's done at a commercial rate. Look, I'm
Who,
not.
Kieran? Who decides that? Because my understanding is the Man City sponsorship issue was not the Arab Airlines sponsoring them, but that the hugely inflated rate over market value. Is there some kind of watching of, I don't know how much a football stadium is worth, but who decides that?
Well, in theory, that will be decided by a quantity surveyor. So, as far as I'm aware, Derby County Football Club employed a quantity surveyor who says, yeah, it's worth £80 million.
Okay.
Now, a cynic would say, well, hold on. You've got a willing company selling the stadium, Derby County. You've got a willing buyer, Mel Morris, and you've got an independent third party, the surveyor. But who's paying the surveyor?
Yeah.
And they've been signed off by the auditors. Okay, who's paying the auditors? I'm not saying that these people have done anything wrong, but it does mean that there are conflicts of interest arising. Whereas if I was selling you my house, I'd be trying to get as high a price as possible. You'd be trying to get as low a price as possible, and that's the deal. We meet somewhere in the middle. When you're selling something to myself, let's say that I'm skint today. Here's my iPhone. I'm going to sell it to me for 10 grand. Well, hey, don't have to go and work for the next month. Jobs are good, and that's the position we've got with the Derby County Stadium. Is 81 million pounds? Derby County have booked 81 million pounds of cash from asset sales in their accounts. Is that a fair price? I don't know. And it's not really for me to say. All I would say, and again, I'm not an expert on property, is that Derby have sold their ground for 80 to 81 million pounds. In 2016, West Ham sold a piece of prime London property in the shape of Upton Park for 40 million pounds. Is property in Derby worth twice that of London? I'm not quite saying. It's not really my job to say. I would be surprised, but clearly, perhaps I'm a bit daft, perhaps I've misread this, and also having seen what's happened to Upton Park, it's now being converted into apartments and residential property. And if you've seen the price of those apartments, those are eye-wateringly expensive. So if Upton Park is worth 40, why is Derby worth 80? That seems a bit strange. If you then look at Reading, Reading's, Thames Valley, again, it's quite a pricey area. 2 years ago, Reading Stadium was sold to the owners 26 million. So we got Majewski 26, Upton Park 40, Pride Park 81. Okay, nothing to see there. No.
Interesting. And 81 conveniently is around the ballpark of 2 years of parachute payments, isn't it, as well, if you're looking for a number that you're trying to compete with. How
Yes.
then can England's all-time top scorer be joining Derby in January? And we need to go back to our gambling friends at 32 Red. Are I can't remember who that Real Madrid president was, who said sometimes the most expensive signings are actually the cheapest ones. Are Derby actually going to pay any of Rooney's wages here, or is the betting company
Um,
doing it?
no, directly, yes, they will be paying those wages. Again, I think here it's a really smart piece of negotiation by Derby. Um, they will have got an enhanced sponsorship deal from 32 Red because Rooney's wearing the 32 shirt. So clearly there is a link there. Can he still do it? Wayne Rooney's still a fantastic football player. I think he's been allowed to sort of slip off the radar. He had a fair season at Everton, and yet they let him go after 1 year. A lot of people have written him off too early. He will be on a sizable deal. Will he also have an image rights deal? Will he be an ambassador for 32 Red? Potentially, and if he does so, then he's perfectly entitled to pick up remuneration through those particular methods. But his direct wages will be paid by the club. I anticipate that Derby will have renegotiated the sponsorship deal with 32 Red, and that's just good business.